The phantom. There are creatures that roam the world, and there are those that haunt it. They don't appear in textbooks. They don't live in zoos. They flicker through legends, through fading footprints, through nightmares passed down by firelight. One such beast lives only in whispers now. A shadow with teeth. A hunter without sound. The locals call it many names. But around here, it's only known as the Phantom. We begin where time thins, in the bone-scattered hollows of southern Argentina, Patagonia, the land of wind and extinction. It's here that the story claws its way out of the soil. Not a ghost story, but an aftermath. Joaquin Torres is a fifth-generation herder. He's seen cougars, wild dogs, even bears drifting down from the mountains in dry seasons. But nothing like this. One morning, 3 of his llamas were found dead. No blood, no sign of a chase, just silence, and tracks larger than any known canine, wider than a mastiff's, too deep for a fox, and then gone, as if it never came or left. That night, he whispered an old Mapuche word, Trofalpuli, the pale dog, a being of the in-between, the one that walks between worlds. Science remembers its closest cousin, the dire wolf, Canis dirus, the terrible dog, once the apex predator of Ice Age America. It hunted horses, mammoths, giant bison, heavier than today's wolves, more powerful jaw pressure, but it vanished over 10,000 years ago, or so we thought. But what if something branched off? Scattered across time are hints. A tooth found in 1912 in the Carpathians. A set of jaws uncovered in the Andes in 1949, labeled Unknown Canine Specimen. A blurred photograph from 1987, taken in Alaska, shows a pale beast the size of a bear, chasing nothing. The paper trail was never followed. It was dismissed, because some stories are easier to bury than explain. But nature doesn't forget. In 2021, a wildlife audio team in Chile captured a series of vocalizations. Not wolf, not coyote, something deeper, slower, like a scream crawling through the throat of an avalanche. A frequency too low for any known canid. An aftershock of sound. They called it the null howl, the howl that echoes where nothing should be. They called it the null howl, the howl that echoes where nothing should be. Over the next 2 years, more incidents occurred, always in isolated locations, always the same pattern. Missing livestock, strange tracks, terrified dogs refusing to leave their shelters. Some called it hysteria, others something more primal. The return of a predator we never understood. But this phantom doesn't belong to one people. Its shadow is global. In Siberian myth, it's the pale one, the wolf that follows soldiers to death, but never bites. In Norse tales, it's a cousin to Fenrir, fated to appear when the end approaches. In Cherokee lore, a white wolf with burning eyes warns of imbalance in the land. Different cultures. Same shape, same silence, same fear. Could these stories have stemmed from the same origin? A real creature, now rare, perhaps dying, misunderstood for centuries, even by those who revered it. Not evil, not mythical, just alone. The phantom survives not through sightings, but through memories. Those who still live close to the land remember the patterns. The phantom comes when the prey goes. It walks through fog and leaves no scent. It does not howl. It listens. As habitats collapse and prey vanish, the phantom moves. It doesn't stay to fight. It doesn't challenge new predators. It fades. But when the balance tips, when nature goes quiet, it returns. Briefly, to correct something. Or witness the fall. So what is it? A relic of evolution? A spirit of nature's grief? Or something stranger? A beast caught between the world we know and the one we forgot? In the next chapter, we follow the trail deeper, into the dark heart of the wilderness, into the bones of the earth, and into a question no one dares ask out loud. If this predator still walks among us, what happens when it is hunted? To be continued. In the northwestern wilds of Canada, a trail camera captured something strange. Only 5 frames. A pale blur, low to the ground, shoulders unnaturally high, eyes glowing amber, and then gone. The footage never made the news. But across scattered research logs and bioacoustic data, a pattern emerged. The null howl returned, recorded across 4 different regions: Nova Scotia, the Yukon, northern Montana, Alberta, all in the same 7-day window. The sound waves matched previous anomalies. Deep, compressed, traveling farther than any known predator call. It moved like a pulse, radiating in all directions, a presence announcing itself, or responding. Along old migratory corridors, evidence resurfaced. Flattened grass, odd, circular clearings, half-eaten remains of caribou untouched by scavengers, tracks that started mid-river and ended in solid ice. Always silent, always cold. Locals noted unnatural stillness in forest and tundra. No birds, no rodents, no motion, just wind, and attention like something watching. The phantom leaves no scent, no waste, no nesting. It moves without disrupting branches or snow, almost as if it isn't a physical creature, but the memory of one. Reports of livestock disruption increased in regions once thought too cold, too remote, or too barren for large predators. But the evidence followed a familiar pattern. Bite marks that didn't match wolves, drag marks too wide for mountain lions, and complete silence before and after every event. Motion-sensing cameras triggered without recording anything visible. Audio recorders picked up short bursts of low-frequency sound. Not mechanical, not environmental, but deliberate, like a coded signal in nature's static. Environmental agencies blamed weather anomalies, rising wolf populations, even human poaching. But nothing explained the lack of remains. No trails, no blood, no signs of struggle. Across the tundra, scavengers avoided certain kill sites. Crows would not land. Foxes would not feed. Even insects stayed away, as if something had passed through that didn't belong. The phantom appeared only in absence. The absence of normal behavior. The absence of noise. The absence of pattern. Ecological sensors began showing anomalies in prey movement. Entire herds of deer shifted routes by miles. Migratory birds flew off course. Predators abandoned known hunting grounds. The forest adjusted to something it couldn't see, something it remembered, something it feared. And still, no direct sightings. Only prints too deep to be faked. Half sounds caught between wind gusts. Trees with broken limbs 10 feet off the ground. Circular paths where snow had melted in perfect rings. Whatever this predator is, it does not chase. It does not corner. It waits. And when it moves, everything else gets out of the way. Legends once dismissed as myth began to take on new weight. Not as fantasy, but as environmental memory. Across continents, similar stories were found. Of a large, pale beast that appears when the land is in crisis. Not to attack, not to feed, but to witness, to follow collapse. In Northern Europe, it was said to walk ahead of blight and famine. In parts of South America, it appeared before earthquakes. In Asia, it followed the disappearance of certain prey species, only to vanish once balance returned. These were not stories of terror. They were warnings. Scientists studying trophic cascades began noticing gaps in predator behavior. Wolves would avoid certain valleys for no observable reason. Elk herds would gather in tight clusters with no threat in sight, as if something unseen had taken the apex role, if only temporarily. Time-stamped anomalies showed consistent timing. The disturbances followed periods of sudden ecological silence. Birds stop singing. Insects fall still. Small predators vanish. Then, for days or weeks, there is nothing, until a pattern breaks, and balance begins to return. It was not just a predator. It was a pressure. Something old. Something selective. Something precise. Technology offered little clarity. Drones lost signal. GPS collars glitched. Thermal scans showed warm voids, places where heat signatures should appear, but did not. The absence itself became the signal. A void that moved. A shape that erased the noise of the living world around it. It became known not by what it did, but by what vanished when it arrived. Some believe the phantom is the last of its kind. A remnant of the ancient world, too rare to study and too intelligent to capture. Others argue it is not an animal at all, but an ecological force. A living correction, triggered only when imbalance reaches a certain threshold. It does not act for dominance. It does not leave messages. It leaves silence. It leaves pause. It leaves space for recovery, or for collapse. Where it walks, systems recalibrate. The weak disappear. The strong relocate. The land resets in fear. Its presence could mean extinction or rebirth. If it is truly real, then its survival is not just a biological question, it is a planetary one. Because if this creature goes extinct, something ancient and necessary may go with it. A regulator without code. A sentinel without myth. A guardian no one invited and no one controls. And if it is still here, still watching from the edge of civilization, then the question is no longer whether it exists. The question is what it's waiting for. Because every year, the forests grow quieter. The skies thin. The prey scatter. And something begins to listen. It does not chase. It does not roar. It does not rage. It simply arrives. The phantom walks,